Deal with today. Today is the first time of Gaudium Spes. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we can see this.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So again, Vatican II and its main spirits. Finally, we deal with the joy and the hopes, the griefs and the anxieties on, which is number one of Gaudium Spes, meaning joy and hope. Joy and hope is a very significant. The word it's not grief and not sorrow, but it's joy and hope. Remember, joy and hope. Yeah, it's just a recap of last week. We have a very important source for lay theology, especially from Lumen Gentium, where there are a lot good sources like number 12 and 32, which talk about the we are all equal, and because of the we have only one God and one faith, one baptism. We are people of God because of baptism, which is a universal priesthood. So the more we focus on the baptism, the better we have a solid theological ground for lay people, because we are all equal before God, because we are baptized in the name of Jesus. So Jesus is the one who anointed me, so that we are sacred people, or holy people as one, which is number 12 and also number 32. Even number 32 mention infallibility. Infallibility. There is no mistake as long as our people, our faith is concerned. Um, and although we have a little bit different uh, the perspective in Lumen Gentium, number 10 and number 11. In number 10, excuse me, sorry, hold on. Hello? Okay. As you know, I try to remember that number 10, in which we could remember the sentence, um, the ministerial priesthood is different from universal priesthood, or yeah, not only the two is different one from another, not only in degree, but also in essence. So it's quite a different tone from number 12 and number 32. And how about number 31? Number 31 is classify, categorize lay people, just a people without any special name, or the other. You see, someone who are in order, like a priest, like a bishop, and someone who are in religious vocation, like a religious nun or religious brother. And the other, we include in the other. So number 31 is deal with lay people as the other or all of them without a specific name or rank or degree. But although we have a negative or positive uh, uh, approach to lay people or lay status in the church, but we have, uh, you know, hermeneutical key. We have interpretative key, which is people of God, where there is some conflict understanding, and two understand or three or four a different understanding have a conflict or overlaps one from another, then how could we integrate them? How could we understand it correctly as a lay person, as a lay people? But we have a new paradigm, new hermeneutics. We call people of God. So people of God is not only one of a type of church model, but it's also the principle of our understanding, principle our interpretation. So through this people of God, we have some kind of integral, we given integral understanding of our status as a lay people. Um, yeah, and uh, and also we have three different our status like a people of God, priestly, priesthood, and prophets, and also a kinghood, so on. So common or the universal baptismal priesthood is very important, but there is a weakness. I didn't tell you before. As a part of a lay spirituality or lay theology, uh, in the place like in Asia, where the cultural and religious diversity or a pluralist or pluralism is a part of our essential life itself. Think about it. How many language our country have? How many ethnic groups we have? Such a huge diversity we have. So simply put, uh, Asia is the continent of a diversity. Asia is a continent of a pluralism. So if we situated this kind of, uh, baptismal priesthood or common priesthood or universal priesthood, is only church language, only church language. What do you mean by this? Yeah, even if we argue that we put more on put strength more on a common or universal priesthood rather than the ministerial priesthood, so that we could argue we are all equal before God. Yeah, which was all right because we have baptized, we got baptized, whether we are lay people, regardless lay people or clergy or religious nun or brother, we are all baptized. From this, we are all enjoy a priest and prophet and a king. This is three different ministry we also do as a lay people. But if we situate this kind of idea like a baptismal priesthood and general or common or universal priesthood in the diverse culture and religion, that would be difficult. That would be problem. Why? Because the more focus on baptism, because so that we are equal, but it cannot be relevant to other religion, other people from other religious tradition. because simply they don't have any Christian identity. So it's only within the church it works, it's relevant, but it is not relevant when it comes to interreligious dialogue, when it comes to the wider ecumenism, including other religions. Remember, so it is very important a source for lay people, a lay identity within the church, but it's only within the church. It has to do with today's learning of Gaudium and Spes. So we need to go beyond or over, go over the this kind of church terminology, in order to have a dialogue with the word. That is the key issue of Gaudium and Spes, which is why Gaudium and Spes are really, really important among 16 documents of Vatican II. Okay. And I mentioned before, we also, sensus fidelium. Sensus fidelium is is closer to the people from other religious tradition, other religions. Also through people of God. We are all people of God, including other people from other religious traditions. Of course, it doesn't mean we try to convert them to into the Christianity. No, the people of God is not only limited to the church people. Of course, this is first means church, the people, the whole people of God in the church, but also expand to the people of God, because we have only one salvation. We have only one salvation. It is not cannot imagine without the people outside the church. They cannot be as cannot be including in the salvation. We cannot imagine that. So here at number 32 in Lumen Gentium, if we talk about one salvation, that must include people outside church. From that sense, we draw conclusion that sensus fidelium or people of God include people from the church, outside the church, people from outside the church tradition. Okay, sensus fidelium, we're going to deal with other time, especially Thursday session, which deal with more basic one. I mean, faith and belief, something like that. So anyway, sensus fidelium is people's sense of faith, which is not cannot be error, as long as our belief is concerned here. Anointed by Holy Christ, the Holy Spirit. So our faith cannot be error in the matter of belief. So now we're going to deal with the Gaudium and Spes. Gaudium and Spes simply means a joy and hope. First paragraph, first sentence. Here, the Gaudium and Spes is a whole, the title is The Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the Modern World. This is a whole title. So pastoral means, connotes, implies here the church's practice or its role to do for the people and the world. So church's practice, so that what is church is for is important. What is the church's role to do something for the people outside the church? That is key, rather than who is church. We 2,000 years history of our church have been more focused on who is the church, who is the church, what is our identity as a church, things like that. But after Vatican II is no more because we have Gaudium and Spes. It's more focused on pastoral activity, meaning practices, action, call to action for the world. And so a constitution, we have a full constitution. We have, I told you before, full constitution, including Gaudium et Spes, Lumen Gentium, which more focus on church, and about revelation, and about liturgy. So we have full constitution. From time to time, I briefly mention and deal with it already and will do. So it's more focused on the identity of the church, but more focused on the role. What is church is for? Its role for the people, role for the world. So the first explanatory note and the commentary notes below beneath the page, the first page of Gaudium et Spes, explain Gaudium et Spes or church intends to present the church's relationship with the world and the people today. This is not church. This it means Gaudium et Spes. Yeah, here it means it's it. It intends to present the church's relationship with the world and the people today. This is a note for pastoral mean. So what do you pastoral mean is a relationship with the world and the people. It has had been really difficult and complicated the session and activities relationship with among participants. So the one day before closing the whole session of Vatican II in 1975, which is December 6, meaning December 7 is closer of the whole session. But one day before, the Gaudium et Spes finally pushed through so that they issue its officially issue Gaudium et Spes by voting. The voting result on Gaudium et Spes like this is the greatest number of opposing votes among all 16 documents. So it's a lot the position votes against this the documents, Gaudium et Spes. Specialist section of marriage, 140 votes, and peace. So marriage and peace is a really a sensitive issue up until today. And marriage, for example, you see, you remember maybe one of Bishop Synod done in several years ago. After that, the Pope Francis released the papal documents on marriage, which is I think it's a joy of not gospel, joy of I forgot the name of the papal documents. I forgot it, but at the time, very difficult because many conservative church people, including clergy and lay people together, attack the Pope Francis because of the marriage problem. Yeah, after the divorce, whether a priest that give a holy host Eucharist to the divorced couple, a divorced husband or divorced the wife, and something like that. So this, because of this, there's so many criticism or attacks from those groups, conservative groups. So, and a peace, another example, is kind of the political issue, not a family issue, domestic issue, but it's a really because there is a two theory, just war theory. Just war theory means like a right to defense, So to defend my life, I have to sometimes attack thieves or those who try to force me to do something, or try to kill me. Then I should use some armaments, like you see, guns or other the arms. Uh, but after the parliamentaries, John 23rd, peace on the world, on the earth, uh, the church's tendency toward the approach toward the peace is a little bit different. A little bit, it's keeps a little bit different distance from the just war theory. So it's more focused not on the war, but on peace. So which is two different, a focus and a two different perspective. So peace and marriage is very much controversial because of this. Is that there is a lot, you know, 2009 votes in favor. They agree, but 75 disagree, and the 7 they abstention, meaning they forgive. I mean, they give up the voting. So there is no such the smooth procedure or process, as long as the voting for Gaudium as Spes is concerned. So another one is like a decree. We have um, I think 8 decrees. Yes, I think it's 8 or 9 decrees. 9 decrees. Among decrees on religious freedom, or dignatis datis humanae. We have 2,308 votes in favor, and 70 against, or 6 give up. And how about degree on missionary activities? Ad Gentes, 2,094, which is huge. They agree, and among them 5 disagree. There's no abstentions. And Ad Gentes, a little bit we peep into Ad Gentes, because Ad Gentes is more on missionary activities, which is quite important because of this is mission. How could we do mission in modern world? This is all about what is all about Ad Gentes. So Ad Gentes, the degree on missionary activity, one of the documents of Vatican II, whose goal was replacing the delegation of responsibility of mission to a small professional minority, typical of colonial period in the West. In other words, a small professional minority, including, religious or the priest, as a missionary, should replace to missionary by nature, entire church. You see, so a mission, the subject of mission should be changed from a small professional minority to a entire church. Yeah, of course, including lay people. That is the idea of Ad Gentes. The small professional minority to be missionary alone is a typically colonial type of colonial period in the West. At the time, people from West, many of them were missionary. Yeah, maybe theologians and some, religious sisters, brothers, and priests. But it's already passed in the colonial period. So now we have different and a changing world. So for mission, we have entire church is to be missionary. The transformation change had been taking place, missionary experience in Latin America, Africa, and Asia, where colonial period is rapidly changing or gone. The countries already evangelized were shaking from de-Christianization. So even in European countries, some other countries in Canada or US is already Christianized. They leave a church. They left the church. So the the atmosphere or some shape of the population of Catholic has been more and more changing. So both of them, this kind of two of them, reflect in Ad Gentes. So let's read one paragraph, number 19, in Ad Gentes, so that we could figure out what is change from past to today. This work of implanting church in a particular human community reaches a definite point, very important point, when the assembly of the faithful, the people, the whole entire church, already rooted in a social life of the people, and to some extent conform to its culture and adapt its culture, enjoy the certain stability and performance when they enjoy, conform to its culture, adapt its culture, and enjoys a certain stability and performance. And also when the time when it has its own priests and possess those ministries and institutions which are required for leading and spreading the life of people of God under the leadership of their own bishop. Of course, still we have very we indeed very much familiar with this type of church, but what is focused on here is the implanting church, spreading gospel in a community, human community in the world, reaches a definite point, which is an important point, when the whole faithful, not only small number of missionary, not that one, is an assembly of the faithful, rooted in social life of the people and the world, and also its culture, so that we could enjoy a certain stability and performance in that soil. Then we have, it is time to spreading the gospel and the church. Otherwise, it's not mature, immature, and also it's work done by the whole people of God. And now we're going back to worldview of Gaudium and Spes. The number one, we now take a chance to read the whole Um, not the whole chapter is number one is not that short, but it's an important first part, first paragraph. The joys and the hopes, the griefs and anxieties of the men of this age, especially those who are poor or in any way afflicted. These are the joys and hopes and griefs and anxieties of the followers of Christ. This is a really important one. That those joys and hopes and griefs and anxiety of this age, the people's all things, is the same as our Christians. Indeed, nothing genuinely human fails to raise an echo in their hearts. Yes, beautiful sentence. So everything is echo in our hearts, so that we could not fail to raise the echo of that the humanity's griefs and anxiety, as well as joy and hopes. It's a tune very much strong, very much well in our hearts. It's beautiful, isn't it? For theirs is a community composed of men. There is a community, global community composed of the humanity, human people, united in Christ, led by the Holy Spirit, and our journey to the kingdom of their Father, and they have welcomed the news of salvation, which is meant for everyone. Yeah, here clearly, Gaudium and Spes mentioned the salvation is for everyone. This is not my interpretation. This is from uh, documents of Vatican II. Indeed, the whole church recognized officially the salvation or people of God is not limited to the people within the church, but it's meant for everyone because we have only one God, one road, one faith. So that is why this community realized that it is truly linked with mankind and its history by the deepest of bonds. So look at this carefully, read it and read again. It's really worth reading again, because there is no dualism between the church and the world. In many cases, you could find that there's a duality or dualism. There's a division between, you see, church and the world and the clergy and lay people and the man and woman, the soul and the body, and the many things. There, it's all the way from the Greek philosophy to the philosopher named Plato, and then you see under whose influence it was the Saint Augustine who articulated his theological ideas, thinking based on his philosophy, which is very much dualistic. So that tradition, all the way from Plato to Augustine to Thomas Aquinas and to up until now. So we still have such a living in a dual world, like clergy and lay people. Such a discrimination is still going on because of this theological tendency, theological linear, theological roots. So, but you could see here, there is no such dualism. There is no such division at all. So I love this the paragraph. So it's very much the methodology is from bottom, not from above. I will introduce the one figure, very much important one. It's one of the joyful moments when those joining this course, because from time to time I introduce some church figure, whether they are clergy or just lay people. You know, Bernhard Herring, just in English, Bernard Herring, you know, is Bernhard Herring. He is the secretary of the committee that draft Gaudium and Spes. This one. Mhm. His main focus on conscience. Conscience is rooted in freedom as a possibility of responding to God's call to do God's will. The power, God's will is the power to do good. His ethical project was to make personal freedom the foundation for moral theology. He's a pioneer and also good theologian. Even so good, he could be picked up as one of the drafter, not only drafter, he's secretary general of this, you know, office to produce Gaudium and Spes. He's the really main figure to make it possible, make the publication of Gaudium and Spes possible. So it is good for you to remember him. Herring was a key figure during the Second Vatican Council, where he applied the principle of evolution of dogma, from dogma to morality. That is important. This is a new morality championed by the Herring, ultimately deny the existence of an absolute, immutable natural law. His natural law is all right, but what he opposed to is make it absolute. You see, so what he says like this: it belongs to the very substance of non-violence, never to destroy or damage another person's feeling of self-worth. Even an opponents, even opponents, the non-violence never destroy. We all need constantly an advance of trust and affirmation. We need to develop trust, affirmation, and positive the willingness. You know, this is what Bernard Herring said. So, which means you know what all we need is develop the trust and affirmation, which means conscience, which coming from conscience. Pope Francis praised Herring, you see, not as one of main figure of Vatican II, but he's a good, very much courageous the figure as a moral theologian. Pope Francis praised the German moral theologian Bernhard Herring, one of the most prominent dissenters from Pope Paul VI encyclical called Humane Vitae, human life in English, human life, which is very much problematic, which forbidden to use the artificial contraception tools like condoms and something like that. So it is really, really sad for the whole church to have issued this encyclical. Maybe some of you have a different idea, but to me, it's a very sad story because, of course, protecting the life in mother's womb is really precious and important. But there is some people who are forced to get abortion. Uh, then there is no anywhere to go for them. So it's after the releasement of Humane Vitae, there is a lot of controversials and a lot of the um, you know the Catholic were divided two factions, two groups. The protest against the encyclical and also support Paul's encyclical Humane Vitae. So anyway, this because of this, at the time, one of his disciple named Charles Curran. Charles Curran is who died also, but his attack officially, I mean, publicly, Pope Paul's and his encyclical, very much, because it is poor people who, no chance to get birth a baby, because of the certain situation, they cannot afford to have a baby, and or sometimes, uh, they women sometimes forcefully uh, uh, get pregnant because of the rape, or they some situation they don't want it to have a baby. And this kind of situation, one of the moral theologian named Charles Curran, one of his disciple, attacked this encyclical publicly. So CDF, Vatican Congregation of Faith and Dogma, Doctrine, silenced him, and from which he suffered a lot. And then Bernhard Herring support him, protect him by giving a lot a good theological base, bring his well-known concept, conscience and so on. So he, what he said is what the Pope Francis said about him. Bernhard Herring was the first to start looking for a new way to have moral theology to flourish again. He spoke in the General Congregation of Society of Jesus on October 24th, 2016 in Rome. In his work, conscience becomes locus of developing a moral judgment. The problem with the magisteriums like CDF, Doctrine and Faith, in Vatican, pronouncement, its pronouncement on birth control is that they presume to define an objective and universal moral law. They means similar theologian like Bernhard Herring. So Bernhard Herring presumed to define an objective and a universal moral law. So this kind of birth control is to be made like a universal law, which he is opposed to. He seemed motivated by such desire to move beyond the moral manualism. This is not manual. This is conscious, people's conscious. So it's not be limited to manual. So he motivated more desire to go beyond the moral manualism. Now we have a recognition of Gaudium Spes acknowledgement, recognition, public recognition of human history, which is different from other documents too. Let's read this. The church has always had the duty of reading the signs of the time, the very famous phrase, reading the signs of the times, and of interpreting them in the light of the gospel. Reading first, and then interpreting the signs of time in the light of the gospel. That is one of the most famous sentence in not only in Gaudium et Spes, but also the whole documents of Vatican II. Thus, in language, knowable and known to the each generation, a church can respond to the perennial questions which human ask about this present life and the life to come, and about another questions like a relationship of one to other. So that we must therefore recognize and understand the world in which we live. This is really, really important. That means human history is really, really important, because we as a people of God, we as a church live in the world. So we have to recognize, we have to understand it, so that we have to respond the perennial questions. And also, Gaudium et Spes recognize human history by saying this: the people of God believes. See, even the people of God recognized by Lumen Gentium, which is earlier recognized by the Lumen Gentium. So Lumen Gentium took up that word, exact word, people of God, and even used in the its own the document, Gaudium et Spes, which is wonderful, which is wonderful. The people of God believes that it is led by Lord Spirit who fills the earth, not one country, not one nation, not one people, whole world. Here they express as the earth. You see, Lord Spirit who fills the earth. So the earth is blessed as a whole. Motivated by this faith, it labors to decipher authentic signs of the God's the present. The decipher means that interpret, understand authentic signs of a God's presence and purpose in the happenings. Every things happen in the world. You could see, you could have, you should interpret. You could more endeavor. You could more, you know, labor to properly understand authentic signs of time, authentic signs of God's presence, and whose purpose also, and also needs, church needs and desires in which these people has a part along with other men, other human people of our age. Again, we have a similar sentence like with other men, relationship with other human beings. Therefore, because of the faith, draw a new light on everything. And also faith manifests God's design for man's total vocation. And thus, also give a direction and the mind to solutions which are fully human. We have a lot stress on humanity, and also relationship with other humans, things like that. So simply means the Gaudium et Spes much focus on the word, the really living in the world where church is located. Okay, themes for group discussion. What have you learned today? And what is your favorite part? What is a favorite word? If you picked up one word, if the session is a little bit difficult to understand, but you could pick up one word. You could pick up one phrase or one sentence. What is your understanding of reading the signs of the time in the light of gospel? I simply put it, that is all. Is it enough? Just reading or interpreting the signs of time in the light of gospel? We have to stop that. If not, what are you going to do? What should we going to do? What we must going to do? We should not, if we should not be stopped here, then what we should do next? Then number three, what is your feeling of number one in Gaudium et Spes? We already read it. So that's the three questions for you for group discussion.